From the Jaws of Defeat, Why Persistence Matters. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa. I'm the Marketing Director at IdeaPros, and I have Cary, who is CEO of IdeaPros. And I'm just going to hand it over to Fred because he has a great plan for today. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, you do. I
Wow.
saw it. You actually planned this out.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody. Look, we decided to talk about this topic because it's something that we're all facing, things that happen to us all the time. We're not getting where we want to be. Things are taking longer, costing more. We're not ramping up at the speed we wish we could. And we tend to look at the rest of the world as everybody's got it going great. And why am I having all these problems? And I wanted to talk about some very big companies that have had very big issues, much bigger than any of us were facing or are facing. And I just wanted to give you some flavor here of why you need to calm down, why you need to have perseverance, and why you need to have the fortitude to keep going, even when it feels like you shouldn't go forward. So part of the things that I want to talk about, it really starts with the definition of success, right? We have this misconception that success is this linear journey, that it just goes from here to there. And it's a straight line from starting out to getting to where you want to go. And the reality is, it's anything but a linear journey. Success for an entrepreneur is ups and downs, failures and victories, and it's an ongoing process without a finish line. Even some of the companies, well, all of the companies I'm going to talk about, they don't have any finish line. They're some of the biggest companies in the world, but they're going to face their troubles just like other companies face over time when either the macro or micro environmental conditions change. And so let me just dive into um, a couple of examples here, and then we can talk about the whole picture. Okay, um, Apple. It's the first company to reach $3 trillion in market value. $3 trillion. Think about that. Um, in the 1990s, the late 1990s, Apple was 90 days away from going bankrupt. They had their attorneys in place, they were putting the documentation together, and they were about ready to lose everything. The way that they turned things around is that Bill Gates and Microsoft went in and gave them $150 million to keep them going. It's a case of a competitor helping the competition because it allowed them both to grow, and Apple started using Microsoft's products in what they were doing. But this close, biggest company in the world, this close from going bankrupt. Then, in I think it was 1997, Steve Jobs actually returned, and that's when all these innovative products started coming out, starting with the iMac, and that was the revival that Apple needed to get back on track. But again, biggest company in the world, almost gone, almost a company that we wouldn't even be talking about today. And they stuck with it. They worked through the process. They had some luck with Microsoft, but they made it. They brought Steve Jobs back. They pivoted. And the key takeaway with something like that is really the importance of leadership, the importance of innovation, right? So they were going bankrupt because they weren't doing what they should be doing, and they had to really violently and drastically change their approach to business. And bringing in Steve Jobs again helped facilitate that because he was always somebody who was the visionary of the company. And they lost the visionary when they lost him, and his bad attitude that he had back then. This is why he was lost. But again, here's Apple, $3 trillion, almost to $0, and now look where they are now. So resilience, the willingness not to give up when fires are all around you, and you keep persevering, you keep trying, you understand that something's not working right. That doesn't mean to give up. That means to change what's not working right and find something that's going to work for you.
I
So
like that. you mentioned pivoting to and taking a look at what the situation is, and they had to pivot several times, and even you can tell in the ads from Apple how much they pivoted, how many different things they tried. So I think that's another good takeaway from your list of takeaways.
Yeah. So I'll talk about Twitter. Very recently, after Twitter was taken over by Elon Musk, he was very, very close to bankruptcy right there in the very beginning. Had to lay off a lot of staff. A lot of advertisers were leaving, and he's been able to right the ship and start making profitability finally. But that's not the first time. When Twitter first started out in the early days, there was doubt about its utility, whether anybody would even use it, about the purpose for having Twitter. And back in 2008, again, lack of revenue, high operational costs, and the recurring need for funding were things that brought it to its knees, and they almost went out. Um, Even when people were finally starting to understand that, oh, hey, this is a pretty good way to communicate. It's limited. You just get your main points out, and it has a real growth opportunity. Even if, as people were starting to understand that, they were burning so much cash, and they really hadn't proven out the model in the way that they wanted to prove it out. And again, another company almost at the brink of bankruptcy. When they turn it around, they navigated through those initial market doubts, and they iterated based on user feedback, which made it critical for their survival. Right. So this is something I always talk about. Listen to the voice of the customer, and that's what they started doing. Looking at the application, how it's used, how it could be used, and they started turning their business model around from what they heard, what they saw, and what they felt, and they managed to make it through this really, really hard time. Um,
He's like, "Are you going to say something, Tessa?"
Usually
I
when I
actually
follow,
don't have anything to say on that one. I know, speechless. That's crazy.
well, why don't you tweet me something.
I will. I'll tweet you something.
All right. I want to give you a couple more examples, and I'm using really, really big examples to show you wherever you are in your journey, however much you're struggling, not getting to where you want to be. I want to show you that the biggest of the big have gone through things that are even worse than what you're experiencing, and they are where they are today because they've worked their way. They use patience, resilience, and fortitude to work their way through the issues that they were having to find a solution to make them into what they are today. So how about this one?
I'm seeing a common pattern, though, that funding is critical. So
Oh, well,
almost always, it's
in,
a
in,
funding problem.
in many, and Amazon, when they were first really growing, they were known as Amazon bomb by many because of the massive cash burn that they were going through, the lack of profits. It took them 10 years to become profitable. And then when the dot-com bubble happened, that really hit Amazon hard as well. A lot of the competitors went under. They persisted, they diversified their offering, and they expanded beyond books for the first time. If you remember, when Amazon started, it was selling used books in Bezos's garage. That's how they started, and he picked books because there was such a wide inventory, so many different SKUs, and he thought he could really profit on that. And the fact is, the first victims of that were Borders and the other book store that I don't remember, Barnes and Noble. They suffered enormously because of what he was able to do on the online business, but still burning cash, not making money, losing hundreds of millions of dollars left and right, and that close to not making it. Then they diversified, and now Amazon truly is an Amazon of literally everything you want to buy. Half of all online sales consumer sales takes place in Amazon. One half. It's amazing, right?
Wow.
And the takeaway there is that when you have a visionary leader and you have long-term investment perspective, that can outlive the skeptics. You just have to keep going, and have to keep believing, and you have to keep following the path that you're born to go down, and not let the doubters shut you down. Um, since we talked about one of Elon Musk's companies, let's talk about another. Let us talk about our boys at Tesla. Tesla, I mean, really ambitious mission. They wanted to revolutionize a word I hate, the auto industry. But in this particular case, you could use a word like that. Um, they weren't the first electric car either. The first electric car was in 1890. That shows you how long sometimes technological advances take to get out into the mainstream and become doable things. So Tesla came along and they started something that was really going to revolutionize the auto industry, and they did so in very unique ways. They, I think it was 2008, they were less, I don't know, days away from going bankrupt, literally days from going bankrupt. And they got last minute funding round, and that really picked them out of it. Um, uh, he, Elon, like I do with our company, but him at a much bigger level, started funding the company out of his own pocket. When investors dried up, he was putting his own money in, um, tens of millions or more into the company to make it survive. He had a vision, and he kept going at it in really horrific times. Again, this close to non-existent. And here you have that same example of this passionate leader, this unwavering belief, right, in a mission, and that can help the company navigate through the roughest times. Uh, there are so many instances when the average person thinks, "Wow, this is not going to make it. I got to give up." But it's the extraordinary human beings, the extraordinary leaders that say, "I'm not giving up. I'm never giving up." In fact, Elon had another thing with the SpaceX. The three of the first rockets that they tried to launch all exploded, and he really bet the farm on the fourth one. And he was interviewed shortly after that. The fourth one made it, and the reality was, if the fourth one didn't make it, he would have lost everything of every business. And he was asked, I think it was CBS News, he was asked, "Did you ever think of giving up?" And he said, "That's not ever a consideration for me. If I die or become infirm, that's the only way I'm going to give up. Otherwise, I'm not going to give up. This is what I'm meant to do, and I'm going to do it." And really, that's how you have to think. That's how we have to think. That's if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to understand, as I said in the beginning, it's not a linear journey. There's ups and downs, and sometimes those downs are really, really hard to accept. And there are going to be plenty of nights when you wake up at 3 in the morning in a cold sweat, unable to go back to sleep, and wondering, what the hell am I doing? Why did I decide to go down this path? What is this all about? Those are those are things that every single entrepreneur faces, and you have faced them, or you're going to face them. And so let's look at these examples, and let me talk about some of the common themes here. I touched on them. But Tessa, you have any comments, or
No, I just have an image because this you just were talking about it. It's
ah,
the never give up one.
yeah,
Like, how close are you? If this haunts me, it does haunt me because I'm like, I can't give up yet.
yeah, yeah. That's a great image. Um, but the common themes in every single one of these examples, these trillion-dollar companies, the common theme is leadership, right? In times of crisis, this charismatic, determined leaders can motivate your team and make crucial pivots when you have to make them. Don't give up because things aren't going the way that you want them to go, and be that leader, be that determined leader that can keep the ship going in the right direction, even when you're taking on a lot of water. And the second thing in each of those examples is innovation, right? Each of those companies, when they found that things weren't working out, when they were near bankrupt, when they'd lost almost everything, they all looked at something unique that they could bring to the table, something that could set them apart from the competitors that they had, and something that could revive that ship and get it moving forward. And that goes along with that willingness to pivot in all of those companies in one way or another. They set themselves apart by changing what they were doing to accommodate the market needs or the internal realities that they had. Every single one of those companies made a big change to get past an enormous hurdle. Okay, so today in our startups, um, it's all about finances today. I had a 2.5 hour workshop yesterday on pitching to investors. And in today's environment, you're either closing around, starting around, or figuring out where the hell you're going to get the money to go forward. So today's startups, you have volatile industries, you have financial hurdles, you have challenging economic times, but those things, those struggles of today don't define the outcomes of tomorrow. And that's why the chart that the cartoon that Tessa showed, stopping just before getting to where he wanted to go, you have to keep going when you have that thing. And hopefully that's what is that? Are that diamonds?
Diamonds, yeah.
It could be water, and then you're screwed. But good. I'm glad it's diamond. Look, grit in your business world, persistence, adaptability, resilience, they're just as critical as funding and innovation. While you need innovation, while you need funding, you need to be able to get there. Like the guy that quit, and you get there again, persistence, adaptability, and resilience, perseverance. Those are the ways that you get through, even when it seems like you're never going to get there. Okay. So I guess the conclusion here is we need to redefine success. There are no overnight successes, and there are no continual successes. It's all about struggle, doubt, persistence, right? Even companies like Airbnb, another example. Here's a company that nobody would fund. Nobody would fund. They went everywhere to try to get funding, and every single venture capital firm threw them out, basically saying, wait a minute, you have a plan to get people to let strangers stay in their home? Now get the hell out of my office. And finally, they got there. They made it. They went public. They became a billion-dollar company, and the pandemic happened, and they lost 85% of their revenue overnight. So the struggle never ends. The definition of success is fleeting. And it's not this linear journey. So don't measure your own performance by whether or not you're doing better today than you were yesterday. You could be doing a lot worse today, but it's a line that you want to keep pushing to go upward. Um, don't give up. Really don't give up. The final thought here is these aren't just tales of survival. That it really is the foundational element of the abominable spirit of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not for normal people. It's for us crazies. And we're all going to struggle. But the good news is we can all struggle together. And we can all help each other out. And we can push each other along. So don't give up. Look at some of these examples and understand if you're going through a hard time, it's a brief pause on your journey to success.
I love it. Thank you, Fred. That was great. And you mentioned the Pitchcraft event, and I do know that some people didn't make it. I know we had quite a few people who had conflicts. So if you are interested in coming, I think Patrick Van Horn was on with us, and we had quite a few people that came. If you're interested, it's going to be November 16th from 4 to 6 p.m. And I will put the link in the chat so that you guys can go sign up for that. And then we have more coming from you, Fred, as well. So more of these masterclass style events. So thank you.
Don't we have one before that one on the becoming a
November.
unicorn?
I'm not sure what the date is on that one yet. I know
Well,
the November 16th one for sure, and that has a page. So we'll start with that. But we do have a unicorn one. And tell us a little bit about that one.
yeah, it's basically I'm taking a kind of a deep dive into companies that became these unicorns, these billion-dollar companies, and I'm taking a deep dive into them and how they started out and the types of things that they did. And you'll be surprised to learn it's the same type of stuff that we teach, and it's very formulaic. We're going to go through the formula. Doesn't mean you're going to become a billion-dollar company, but it is going to give you an unfair advantage. It's going to allow you to maximize your potential by following the same set of guidelines and rules that these massive organizations followed. So just like some of the biggest companies in the world almost lost it, I'm going to show you how some of the biggest companies in the world followed the same steps I try to teach for anybody who wants to start their own business.
Great. Awesome. Well, guys, we'll see you all next week. I'm trying to get Fred to do a special thing for next week.
Kelly. Sorry.
Hey, Kelly. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to take a second and go say hi to everyone. But thank you, Fred, for being on with us. We'll see you next week. Okay. Bye. All right. Well, thank you. I saw Sage. You got up to 209. Was it 200? 109. 348. Good job. Today, that's your total on Instagram. You're quite the influencer now, for sure. We have Vanessa. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Sage Trigrunt, which is Martin. He was also at our pitch event yesterday. I will tell you it's, well, let me go ahead and give it to you guys so you have it. It's just the IdeaPros.com. I'm just going to put it in the chat for you and maybe on the screen. Here, I'll create a banner for it so you guys can see. So November 16th, 4 to 8 p.m. You can sign up. There are calendar dates. You'll actually sign up, and then we do a meeting with you to make sure that you're serious. Now, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, the reason why we do this is because this is you are practicing, and Martin and Patrick would tell you that everyone participating makes it a really awesome environment. You're all helping each other. You're pitching and practicing and getting comfortable with how you're going to talk about your business, how you're going to get how you have those conversations with investors. So definitely, if you're interested in signing up, you can do that early because we only have so many slots that we can fill because we had a pretty good, huge group, in my opinion, for what we were trying to accomplish. And we ran over half an hour. And so I do know that we're going to have to cut off the slots on it. If you did attend already, you can attend again. So you can keep practicing. We gave it a couple weeks in between, so you'll have some time to practice and make sure that you are ready. You might already have some of the inside line on what's being covered, but I do know that Fred's going to throw a couple little curveballs in there and add some more content and maybe some specialists. So I will see you guys all next week, and I hope you have a very blessed week. Thank you, everyone. Oh, don't forget to hit the bell for subscribing so you get notifications when we go live. All right, have a good one. We'll see y'all next week. Bye. Oh, now I see comments coming in, of course. Oh, hold on. Vanessa was there too. Oh, yes, it was great. Yeah, I didn't see you get in there. See, now I have to put these on because they're so good. All right, Patrick. Yes, even if you weren't ready to pitch, I think even if you weren't comfortable, it was still a very good environment. You learned a lot. I don't know. You guys can tell me in the chat, those of you that were there that didn't pitch in front of the live group. Did you learn a lot? Did you feel like you walked away with some good information and nuggets? I think I have a couple emails that say yes from the people that replied and said, hey, I just wasn't brave enough to do it live. So that's okay. You can come and just learn and then do another session with us and practice. Well, Fred actually pitches back to people. So he will hear the pitch and pitch back or ask questions to help you dig deeper and get to the bigger picture of what you need to be doing for that pitch. Good. I'm glad, Vanessa. I know you didn't get up and do I'm surprised because you're pitching to investors. You actually have a team and have been having a great pitch deck and everything. So next time, if you sign up now, you can go ahead and do it live, right? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much again for being here. We'll see you all next week. Have a blessed week. Bye.